Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Strata Data in London. I'm here with Corey and Ross. How you gentlemen doing?
Good, thank you, Mike.
So you're with DELL EMC, and that's a large company with a lot of different entities. Can you tease apart what you guys are all about and what your different players are?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you say, DELL EMC is part of the larger Dell Technologies organization now, and that's brought together a number of companies in the IT industry under the one umbrella, from a VMware perspective through SecureWorks, RSA, VirtuStream, Boomi, and now DELL EMC coming together as well. A really powerful powerhouse inside the IT sector, driving IT, digital, security and workforce transformation. And DELL EMC makes up an important part of that from a traditional data center infrastructure perspective, having a portfolio of products through servers, storage, and now switches as well. So a big consolidation from a Dell Technologies perspective.
And so what do you gentlemen do with Dell? I mean, because it is a large organization and there's probably a lot of different roles in Dell. What do you guys actually work on?
Yeah, so I work on and lead a team of highly talented pre-sale systems engineers, as we call them, focused on unstructured data and big data and analytics in the EMEA marketplace.
Okay.
And I'm a principal systems engineer, but I also lead the global go-to-market for our big data solutions team. So we bring together a number of products from across our portfolio, put them together in well-engineered, highly validated ways, and bring them to market for customers so that it's easy to adopt our technologies for big data workloads.
And you said systems engineer?
My background's, I'm an engineer by trade.
That's an interesting one. So when I look at Dell, I think of like hardware and all the way up to the cloud. Mm-hmm. And do you have a data solution that takes you from the base all the way through?
Yeah, so we think about it you can think about it in terms of the stack, but one of the ways we like to think about it is the buy versus build continuum. So at the lowest end of the stack, if you want to build something out of components, meaning you want to buy best of breed components from compute, network, storage, software. If you want to integrate those components yourself, we have the industry's broadest portfolio as it relates to buying components to build a stack to support a workload in an application. But if you're looking to buy an outcome rather than build it yourself, if you'd like to buy the outcome of, let's say, big data as a service, then we certainly provide the capability to do exactly that.
And so the kinds of partners you work with, are they traditional enterprise IT companies, or is it across the board from your pivotal group working with startups and different companies all the way through that IT sector?
I think for me, it's absolutely everywhere. There's not a single answer to that question. Yeah. And it's great being at Strata here in London this week, because everybody on the show floor is a partner in some shape or form, either inside a customer or we're actively working with from a go-to-market perspective. You know, we partner with the biggest organizations in the world. You touched on Pivotal and their partnerships with some of the leading industry brands in their fields, but we also partner with the small upcoming organizations, especially around things like data analytics, AI, Internet of Things, those types of things.
And so what excites you about data? Working at DELL EMC, what is the most exciting thing that you guys bring to that world?
Yeah, I think the thing that excites me is the fact that data is one of the means for transformation, and we're really having an impact on human progress. So we're helping organizations solve really interesting challenges by bringing what ostensibly many times is unique, very, very well differentiated hardware offerings to market that make it easier for organizations adopting some of these data platforms to do it better, to do it faster. We actually just received the John McCain Award for Leadership from TGen, which is a great customer of ours, where we actually helped them accelerate their high-performance computing and data analytics so that they could fight childhood cancer faster. And so it's those kinds of human progress stories that we see that organizations are using DELL EMC technologies to accomplish really big, worldwide, good for humanity kind of things. And that's the stuff that, makes it worth getting into the weeds and having to deal with some of the, the hard architecture conversations and the exciting, evolutions we see in technology. And it makes it all worth it when you can connect it back to really human progress.
And so that evolution is important, and a lot of people call what they're doing is digital transformation, and really they're on continual transformation because there isn't a stopping point anymore.
It's a journey.
That's it.
So in that journey, where would you say a company that has something that they want to solve in the world, like Tim O'Reilly had a keynote this morning, talked about some big hairy problems in the world. Mm-hmm. Where does a company start with you guys? Where do they get their beginning? Like we'd like to solve food distribution in Africa or something.
Yeah.
Where would they start?
So I think it's you have to tenor every kind of project and the way you approach some of these things with what is the desired outcome. And having big picture ideas is certainly a wonderful thing, but we want to break those into attainable, digestible, achievable bites, right? So one of the things that we do as an organization is really focus on the consultative side of helping organizations identify those problems or those challenges that can have the biggest impact on their business the fastest. So through our global consulting organization, we've actually built a number of service offerings that are really around helping organizations understand what does it mean to be data-driven, identify projects that are of high value, but maybe also very, very feasible in terms of deployment, and then help them evolve and achieve early wins so they can have those digestible wins and early start wins. Because we see some of these projects, if you start with too big of a picture in mind, that you don't have a specific measurable objective, then you can often fail. And we know this is a capitalistic world that we need to make some money or save some money. We need to feed the CEO or CFO's needs. And if we don't do those, it's really hard to get funding for future projects. So we advise customers to take a really pragmatic approach, engage smart consultants and good partners who can help you achieve those objectives faster.
Start small, achieve big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, start small, achieve big. You touched on digital transformation, and I think a lot of that starts with true IT transformation as well. Starting ensuring that the IT and the business are aligned for common goals and striving towards solving those business outcome problems. And as Corey said, organizations across the spectrum are becoming more and more data-driven and really deriving value out of the data that they either already have inside of their organization or are constantly capturing in new forms and new ways. And that's across many different industry sectors, from automotive through the development of autonomous cars, and as Corey touched on in healthcare as well, a huge area for us where human progress and the need for genome sequencing and advanced healthcare, it starts with a business outcome, it starts with a human outcome, but needs IT to be aligned to that as well.
So from a systems engineering perspective, do you see different industries that are moving faster towards a full-on data solution, AI solution? And do you see other parts of the world, when I say other, depends on where you're sitting. We're in London now, so
yeah.
Do you see parts of the world adopting AI and data as a solution quicker than others?
I don't know if I'd say there's any one part of the world where it happens. I think it's probably you're going to see densities where you have talent densities. Because any of these transformations, they're powered by three key things: people, process, and technology, right? Yeah. So we've seen that the technology is globally available. We have great supply chains that can get the right tech to the right people at the right time, but it's the people and process that gets challenging. So we see talent hubs being the real driver for activity. So in EMEA, and here in Europe, there's a number of them. Obviously, London being a big one. We also see a number of areas that are fostering startups that also have really strong university cultures that are investing in the skills that it takes to achieve digital transformation. Think advanced mathematics, statistics, the newest kind of type of program where we're going Scala, Python, R, right, where we're investing in new skills there. That's where we start to see it. And that's true across each of the theaters. But I wouldn't say that there's one far ahead of the others. I do always get some funny emails from our buddies in Australia that they have some interesting projects going on there. Some of their telcos are doing some very interesting stuff that it's pretty innovative. Maybe it's because they spend their weekends on the beach and have happy times. But. Do
you see industries, though, that are maybe out front a little bit? Is it medical? Is it retail? Or anything like that? Or are they all are we on the same journey together?
I think it's across the board. I think there's big advancements across the board in a number of different industries. I think there's some that you can dive down into a little bit more and see some quicker progress around digital adoption and digital startups, really disrupting the marketplace. But I think generally it's across the board. And as Corey says, often it's global collaboration amongst those major hubs around the world, which is driving that progress and driving the adoption.
Yeah, and I think dependent upon the industry, you see different parts of the big data economy coming into play. So, manufacturing, we typically think of manufacturing as maybe a more stodgy, slower industry in general, but I think that they've done some incredible work. We're seeing some large global manufacturers do some of the most interesting things around connected devices and predictive maintenance outcomes, right, where they're improving the efficiency of their production processes by using data and the millions of connected devices that they have in their plants. And then if you see things like financial services, we expect them to be out ahead. And that's okay because they have to do things like fight fraud, which is a great data analytics play. But then you see the automotive manufacturers that are, as a subset of manufacturing, doing interesting things around autonomous cars that's driving machine learning and AI, I think, to its achievable limits today. So that's where some of the most interesting, innovation I'm seeing happen. But again, it depends on the industry, but in each industry, they have specific plays that are getting pretty popular.
Yeah. So if we look back 10 years ago when we started the Strata Hadoop, Strata data, big data was like a terabyte, and that was big.
Yeah.
If we look forward 3 years, what is big going to mean in the data world? I mean, is big humongous? Is it going to be NASA scale data where we're looking at planets and galaxies and that amount of data?
Yeah.
What is big going to be in the future?
I think there's probably a couple of answers to that.
And how will you guys handle that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to scalability and interpretation of big data. Big data to evolving into things like real-time analytics and analytics at the edge and not just kind of in the core is an evolution of big data. Scalability, streaming, all of those things, real-time analytics, taking what Corey just said from a manufacturing perspective, Internet of Things and making that analysis real-time and data-driven insights at the edge is one way of looking at it. And I think there's also a scale in terms of capacity as well. Uber on the main stage yesterday, fantastic example of how a digital disruptor in the transportation industry is now generating huge amounts of data through their use of technology and autonomous cars at, I think they said 250 gigabytes an hour per car, a huge amount of data. And you scale that out over the future, and that's just one organization who's doing it. So.
Yeah, and I actually think the size and scale, I think terabytes were the norm then. I think petabytes are very much the norm now. I think exabytes are where we're going, right? So we're learning our Greek. And then I actually have had conversations over the last year with some very large global manufacturing and global orgs that are talking yottabyte sort of scale, which is not even something that we have yet, right? So there's certainly scale concerns.
Yoda from Star Wars?
That's right. I think so, right? Maybe that's where they got it.
Galaxy.
That's right. Yeah. So there's certainly scale concerns, and there's physics that come into play, right? So we're starting to see that. In the solid state disk market, we're starting to see densities get really, really high, right? Now higher than spinning drives. Does that mean they'll replace them? I don't know. It depends on the availability of certain resources, natural resources. But I think the scale is one part of it in terms of the capacity part. But I think another piece of it is the scale at which we have the number of devices creating data and how we get smarter at consuming or using that data at the edge without having to send it across the network. We're getting smart about what we do because we frankly don't have enough bandwidth currently to send all the data being created at the edge back to a core anyway. So we're going to have to see evolutions in a number of parts of the IT sector, both in storage technology, in computational technology, in network technology, but also in lightweight analytics programs that can run on very small devices at the edge.
So last question. Speaking for Dell EMC, how do you see humans in that future in the loop? So data is going to be massively important, but it's not the whole thing. So how is Dell going to, balance the humans that are needed to interpret the data or to serve the data or to, manipulate or make decisions with it? How does Dell look at that in the future?
Yeah, so I think that the people part of it is, again, we said it's part of that tripod, people, process, and technology.
Yeah.
We continue to foster development with universities around the world because it's, as a human evolution, if you look at each of the industrial revolution to now the digital revolution, something happened, and that is many of the basic, unskilled or low-skilled jobs do get surmounted by technology in many ways, which forces us as a people to become more skilled and more relevant in new ways. So I think that we're going to see that new skills are going to become interesting. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old that I'm excited to see what technology will be available in the next 2 to 3 years that want to teach them how to code, teach them how to develop these skills that are going to be necessary in the new economy. But I think it's a matter of it's a real opportunity for us to use these technologies for, again, human progress, to solve some of the biggest, hairiest challenges we have on our plate. And I think that if we as a people start to take that very seriously and educate ourselves and get focused on it, I think we can be successful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I think there's an element for me around creativity and productivity as well. Huge advances in technology are driving productivity amongst the workforce and transformation around the workforce and how people work and operate on a day-to-day basis. But I also think there's a huge opportunity for things like AI and augmented reality to help drive creativity as well to next levels, freeing up people, as Corey talked about. Industrial revolutions throughout the course of history have allowed people to become more creative and foster innovation faster because of the technology that they're developing. And I'm excited about that. I have a young family as well, like Corey, and I often talk to them about picking up devices and using them because that's their future. That's how they're going to work and learn and play going forward. So yeah, creativity and productivity, I think, are huge advances around IT transformation.
Excellent, gentlemen. We look forward to that journey to the future with you folks. Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.